So I was mowing my yard the other day and I noticed this right here. Got a little bit of extra water in the yard. Now we've gotten a lot of rain here the last several days, so I thought, well, maybe it just hasn't all dried out. But I've waited several days and it is really soupy still. So it looks like we've got a bit of a water leak. So if you have one of these in your yard or you've seen this and want to know how I'm going to fix it, stick around and we'll show you how. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to get our leak detector kit out and try to figure out where this water might be coming from. I suspect it's probably just a sprinkler line. I have several of those that have broken, or the joints for the PVC have come undone or have leaked over time, and it eventually causes this kind of thing. But we'll figure out what it is. So here's our leak detector. Yep, that's right, it's a shovel. So not very high tech. So we're just gonna start digging holes and see which way the water's flowing and figure out where the leak is. So basically what we're gonna do is kind of start, it's hard to see from this video, but the yard slopes this way. So what I'm kind of suspecting is that the leak is somewhere starting in this area. Because you can kind of see, try to follow that, there's where the water line is. So I'm basically going to just start digging a hole right in here and we'll see what we've got underneath there, and hopefully we'll find some PVC pipes that are leaking. But like I said, if not, we'll keep going and show you how to do this. Alright, so I just started by taking the sod off the top, and if you notice, right there she is, the PVC pipe we were looking for. So now all we have to do is dig along here and find exactly where it's leaking. And usually it'll show, if it's leaking in the spot, there'll be, like, you'll see water flowing. I may already see some of it, but let me dig a little bit around it so that we can see it for sure. All right, now for this job, you might need the Leak Detector Junior to get in and around this pipe. So let's dig all this out here and get underneath this pipe so we can kind of trace it out and see how much more we need to dig out to figure out where this thing is leaking. Okay, so I think we're there. So as you can see, we've got 3 PVC lines here. And so what I do to find the leak in them is, see how I've coated this one with mud. I basically just, make sure to put on mud enough on them everywhere, and then you'll eventually see the leak. And if you can see right there, if I can get it a little closer, that's where my leak is. And so it's right at a connection here where the original installer, I'm sure, ran all these lines together. But something that's not here from the original is, I don't know if you can see it, but this right here, this is a root from this tree right there. And so we're gonna do what we can to try and make sure we don't disturb this root. But basically what we're gonna have to do is dig this way some more and get rid of all this dirt here so that we can have room to cut this PVC here and then reconnect it so that we can fix this leak. At this point, I've basically dug out, I don't know, almost 2.5 to 3 feet worth, so we can expose these PVC pipes. And again, we can see where the leak is, right? It's right there. I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, well, Handy, you got really lucky. You just dug right in the right spot. And that is true, I did get lucky. But if that wouldn't have worked, right? So I dug a hole here, and what would have happened is I would have sucked the water out with a shop vac, and then I would have waited to see where the water comes in from. And then where the water comes in from, I would dig in that direction. So for example, let's say I sucked all this water out here, and then water was filling in from here, this way, like that. It was streaming in that way. I would have dug this way, right? And just kept digging until I eventually found where the leak was. In my case, like I said, I know the yard is sloping this direction, so I kind of had a pretty good indication that it was going to be up in this area somewhere. And like I said, I believe probably what happened is that tree root right there pushed up that joint, which caused it to eventually weaken. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to get the replacement parts. We're going to essentially cut this line right here, and then we're going to make a little U shape to connect it back up. Now, I don't know any other way to do that because of where this is positioned, and I don't want to cut this line at all. I mean, I could, and then reconnect it up as well, but so, you know, this is good enough for me. I don't know if this is necessarily how a professional would do it, but I'm not a professional. So, but I do this, I've done this multiple times in my yard, and you know, if I have to dig it back up and fix it later, I will. But like I said, let's get the PVC cutters and we'll cut that line. All right, so we got our handy toolbox here, and this video is not sponsored by Lowe's, but it could be, but it's not. So I've got to always have some paper towels, and then just a hodgepodge of different PVC parts and pieces. Here's the glue that we're going to use to glue it all back together. And basically, we've got prime the pipe up and cut it. Somewhere in here, there should be, yeah, so here's my cutters. And these, unlock them. It's a little more challenging to do with one hand. So the ground's helping. Basically, you put this curve in the pipe, and then this is a ratchet where you ratchet it on down, and it slowly cuts through the pipe. So we're gonna try to do that while I'm holding this camera. Not sure if that's gonna work, but here goes. Nope, that's not gonna work. All right, we'll be right back. Okay, we're into quite a mess now. So notice I got this, I'm just moving this other line out of the way. And then as I ratchet this down, you can see it cut the PVC. Now, this isn't a great cutter, it's not very sharp. So it kind of bends the PVC a little, which isn't ideal, but it works, does the job. So now that it's cut, all the water out of that line will come out. All right, and then we're going to cut it up here, and then we'll be ready to make the repair. I'm going to use 2 hands to do that one. Now you can see I've cut the line. So got this line here, that's cut, and since we're going to do our repair, but we got all this water. So you have a couple options on the water. Like I said, I usually suck it out with a shop vac, or you could just dig a deeper hole, and that way it'll drain to the lower area, and then you'll have room to make your repair, and then you'll be done. All right, so there's the line we cut out right there, and then I went ahead and just dug the hole deeper. That was easier than just sucking all the water out. And so again, here's our gap, right, that we need to basically go out here and create a nice U for that to go in. If you don't know, I know that's a 1-inch line there. Like I said, I've replaced these before, but if you don't, you can take that into your favorite store that sells PVC pipe and make your connections off of that. You basically need, well, we'll talk about what you need, but essentially you need 4 elbows and enough 1-inch pipe to make a U shape. So let's get that going. We're going to add these elbows and point them this way. Okay, I'm going to put one there and one there. Now I can't do this with one hand, but essentially we're going to take some of this primer and clean the pipe. We're going to put the glue on it, and we're going to put it inside here and on the pipe itself. And we're going to glue each of these, and we're going to make sure they're facing straight up. And now what we need to do next is we need to measure from this top part of the U to figure out how wide to make it. And we need to make sure that the length going up is the same. So like I've said, we're going to go up and over, and so we'll show you what that looks like. So we've got this piece here that we're going to be the lengths coming up from the broken pipe we're fixing. So we need one here and we need one here. Now we need those to be the exact same length. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these and cut this right here so that these are the exact same length. So now we're going to dry fit this here and this here and take it over to the hole so we can measure this length here, which we're going to cut with this pipe here. So now as you can see, we have the U starting the U shape. So again, this is just dry fit. These are glued here to these ends. These are glued. These are just dry fit so that we can get this measurement here. And so this is where the pipe ends up, right here. Right here is where it's got a little line on it. And so if I measure that, we're looking right about 4 3/4, 4.5 to 4 3/4. I want to transpose or transfer that measurement here. So like I said, right between 4.5 and 4 3/4 is where we're going to cut that. So we'll cut this PVC and then dry fit everything and make sure it fits. So that's dry fit in there. It's a little bit long, but that's going to be okay. You can kind of see this is bowed a tiny bit, but that's going to be okay because this is all just dry fit. So once we actually make these connections, it'll push this in all the way, because I can't push it in all the way now just because of it's too hard to get out. So once we get this all glued up, I think this will look better. So let's glue it and let's see what it looks like then. Okay, and that's what the finished product will look like. And so I'm going to let that dry now that we've got that put together, and then we'll dry fit it into the final location to make sure it's good. So there it is, dry fit. So now what we need to do is glue it in. And there's the final product all glued in. Like I was saying, the glue, the bottle says to let it set for 2 hours for cure time. So basically we're gonna let this set for a few hours, let it make sure it gets good and cured, and then we'll turn the water back on and we'll leave it all exposed so that we can see if there's any new leaks or anything before we cover it back up with dirt. So I just turned the water back on, and so basically what I typically do is just kind of run my hands over all the joints, make sure there's nothing seeping or leaking, and I don't feel anything. So far so good. So we're gonna let that kind of just hold pressure for, I don't know, 30 minutes, an hour, something like that, and then we'll start filling in the dirt all around it. Now I think, like I said before, this is how I fix these breaks and leaks when I find them. I'm not sure that this is like the best way to fix this. It's just the best way that I've found, because usually I don't have enough space to put an inline connector in, so I find that doing this kind of U-shaped thing is usually easier for me. But yeah, I'd love to hear from some experts out there who do this more often, and if there's a better way to do it, I would love to hear about it. So yeah, let's let this set for a couple hours and then we'll put the dirt back in. It's actually been several hours now with the water line on, so that new line has been pressurized this whole time. and I don't feel any leaks in the joints. I don't see anything leaking. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill this in, and I have a wheelbarrow full of old dirt that I pulled out, so we're gonna fill most of that in. I'm gonna make sure that I get underneath here pretty good, and I'll probably pack it down some to make sure it doesn't settle a whole lot. And then I have some better dirt that I'm gonna put. As you probably noticed, this is all red dirt, which isn't great for growing grass, so I'm gonna put some better soil kind of on the top, put my sod back on top of that. Okay, that's with all the new sod on. Now I've got these patches of, or sorry, that's with the new soil. I've got these patches of sod that I've pulled out. So it's now just kind of like putting back together a puzzle piece. So I'll do that now. There's piece one. There's piece two. And so we just keep doing that. And then once we have all those, we'll put more of this dirt on top and flatten it out. And there it is, the final product. So I took 2 bags of that dirt, put some underneath and put some on top, and then just spread it out and leveled it out so that grass would grow back and fill in that area. And that's it. That's how you fix, if you have a wet water spot in your yard, that's how you dig it up and figure out where it is and how you patch it and fix it. Thanks for watching. Hope you found it helpful.